Hi everyone. So welcome to another episode of HypurrSpace. This is where we unpack the latest news and stories in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. I'm Chris from Spacebar and one of the main contributors to the HyperKorea validator. Each week we break down the major updates across the Hyperliquid world and what's moving the markets and why it all matters. Sadly, Jerry was not able to make it this week, but he will be back for the next one. Anyways, let's start. So today I've brought two topics that's being kind of talked about a lot lately. And the first one is will be on stablecoins, specifically USDC and USDH. So the whole USDC versus USDH discussion kind of came back in the spotlight, I think, last week. And so just to recap, during the USDH ticker vote, the community pushed pretty hard for Hyperliquid to have its own native stablecoin, which was the biggest purpose, I think. And that makes sense since most trading on Hypercore uses USDC as collateral, but all the reserve yield from that goes straight to Circle instead of Hyperliquid. So that was like kind of the money leaving the Hyperliquid economy, which no one liked. And the bid, native markets won. And as far as I know, they committed to sending half of the reserve revenue to the assistance funds for hype buybacks, and the other half goes to the ecosystem development, which is pretty good. And for now, USDH is live, but I'll be honest, I don't think we're not seeing like a crazy amount of usage yet. But that's not surprising because I think new stablecoins kind of need time, and frankly, I'd like it this way since it does not it's not forcing any inorganic activity, kind of letting it grow slowly. I think that's better. And then after the whole USDH ticker situation, Circle stepped in and they were like, okay, fine, we'll support Hyperliquid too. So now we'll have native USDC on HyperEVM and CCTV v2, meaning there will be a proper burn and mint bridging instead of lock and mint. I think that's a real improvement. And also, there is an incentive program for HyperEVM apps. Day one partners, I think, can include Hyperbeat across Felix, Hyperdrive, Hyperland, and all those. And Felix in particular gets direct benefits. So if you borrow USDC against BTC Hype or K Hype, your borrow APY will go down because of the Circle support. Adding to this, they also mentioned that they'll buy Hype and they're running validators. But I don't know. Let's just see how serious they really are, how long they will support this. So regarding this, first off, I think it's quite late, but then congrats to Native Markets on winning the bid. Just giving credit when it's due. But do I think people will still use USDC more than USDH for now? Yes. I think we were pretty quite early, and this is pretty quite the beginning. So I think people already hold USDC. So I think it's way more convenient and it's kind of everywhere for people to use it. And right now, the only reason for users to use USDH, I think, is for farming and kind of like the point meta. But long term, though, good part is I think the attention should shift towards USDH as it is the native stablecoin of Hyperliquid. And the more it's used, I think the more fees the system will generate, which will lead to more buybacks for Hype, and that'll be the whole entire flywheel. So if you see the flywheel form, it'll be people coming in with USDC. Then they'll try out the HyperEVM ecosystem. They'll try this and that. Then as they're sticking around, they'll kind of like naturally discover USDH, which will increase the usage. And as the usage builds up, I think there will be an increase in the fees, which also means there will be an increase in the buybacks of Hype, which ultimately leads to benefiting the Hype holders as well as the value of the Hype itself. That's the good part, but the bad part, I think there's only like a short term on it. So Circle still earns the majority of revenue from the ecosystem for now, since more people are using USDC. However, due to this flywheel cycle, I think um, it should eventually shift the value back towards the USDH as the adoption grows. And yeah, so this was on the stablecoin side. And on the other side of the ecosystem, there is a topic that's a little more chaotic. So because at the same time we're talking about like onboarding, liquidity, and user flow, I think the broader DeFi world has been dealing with um, a few messes that has been hacking recently. So people are kind of worried. Is HyperEVM safe? So I think this is more of a stressful topic. So I mean, I think the crypto scene has been experiencing a rougher time because there has been the balancer hack, stream finance disaster, and the infinite kind of mint loops with Elixir and Stream. And apparently, there has been a 93 million loss reported by Stream's external um, fund manager, and also HyperEVM stepping in and forcefully liquidating everything tied to XUSD. So this has something to do with Morpho as well. So this kind of affected Morpho's liquidity by drying up the whole thing. And I think the worst thing is that the curators on Morpho and other lending protocols hardcore coding Oracle prices and blocking normal liquidations. I think this kind of stuff kind of that I think this kind of stuff traps people into thinking that, oh, DeFi has a problem. It could move on and the sentiment could be better in a few couple of days, but I think it is still painful. So actually this whole thing it happened on the ETH side, but then people kind of naturally shift. So if this happened there, it could happen to HyperEVM because we could be exposed to the same risks. Um, Before I give you my takes, I think I'll review on what happened with the HyperEVM side as well. So HyperEVM has more full integrations through Felix and Hyperbeat. So Felix operates as its own curator, and the other curators like Relay Network, RE7 Labs, Math Capital run through Hyperbeat. But the point was that the issue wasn't with Morpho directly itself, or it wasn't Euler. It was the curators who chose to hard code those Oracle prices. That's it. So the question is whether the curators on the HyperEVM are configuring oracles, collateral rules, and kind of fault strategies responsibly. So regarding this, Felix actually tweeted that they do not have any problems. If you want to check out that tweet, you can go to Charlie's, I think the founder of Felix's X. And they said that they use Redstone for private feeds. They use redemption rate logic to avoid stupid liquidations. They audit protocol logic and liquidity for onboarding sets, blah, 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 and all that. And I think this kind of reassures people that they aren't um, dangerous or exposed to risk. But I think people should still be aware of those. From this, I thought like uh people forget. So I think the protocols are just the engines, but I think the people, so especially the curators, are kind of the drivers of the engine. So I think this whole episode is going to kind of like force HyperEVM users to see curators as the real risk player, not the protocol itself. So I think the people, even me, I think, that will start kind of demanding transparency on the Oracle choices and the collateral assumptions and the liquidation settings, which they really should, I think. And the ones that who can kind of like explain their setup without any hesitation, I think which Felix did a pretty good part, will earn the trust of the users and there won't be any problems. But I guess we'll just have to see and how it works out. And above that, I think HyperEVM is still early. maybe not like so early, but still early. And there should be a kind of a setting of a high standard, which will, I think, later pay off. So, despite the all the issues that we had, I think HyperEVM could be going in a good route, as Felix did. So overall, there's like a mix of, I think, progression and caution with like um regarding the stable coin. I think USDH still needs time, but has the right fundamentals. And on the DeFi side, I think HyperEVM is safe now, but I think the role of the creators are huge and they need to be transparent and careful about it. And yeah, these were the two interesting topics that were hot lately. And that wraps up this week's Hyperliquid recap. Yeah, and we'll be back for more next week. Thanks for tuning in. This is HyperSpace signing off until next week. Thank you guys.